What's up, everyone? It's Damian here from the Cubicle or the Cubeologist YouTube, and you're listening to the CornerCutter podcast.
Hey, welcome to the CornerCutter podcast. Podcasting since 2014 and cubing since 2015. I'm your host, Josh, and this is the most consistent speed cubing podcast dedicated to entertain and educate you with in-depth conversations with cubers from all across the sport. My website is thecubicle-us.com, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to this podcast. This is episode 57, and today I have a conversation with Damian Bias. He hosts the Cubeologist YouTube channel and also helps run the Cubicle YouTube channel and works for Phil at the Cubicle. We have an interesting discussion talking about his roles at thecubicle-us, how we got into cubing, and about his Cubeologist YouTube channel, and what it is like being an older cuber. So we'll jump into that in just a second, but first I just wanted to let you guys know that you can go to the website, thecornercutterpodcast.com, to find links to anything we mentioned in this episode. Just go click on the episode section, and you can also support the show by using my affiliate links and discount codes when you buy cubes. So just go to the support the show page, and you can find all the links there. And I definitely recommend you check the website out if you have not already. Oh yeah, and happy Halloween to you guys, since I am releasing this episode on Halloween. And now here is my conversation with Damian. Okay, now I'm talking with Damian Bias, and he runs the YouTube channel Cubeologist. So welcome to the CornerCutter podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
How are you doing? What's going on in your life today?
Well, today, not too much, actually. I stayed up late last night watching a League of Legends tournament, which is, I'm not very proud of, but I did it. So, kind of slept in today, and now I've got to do my daily average of 100 and work on a video. So, other than that, I'm basically free.
Oh, cool. Okay, so what's something interesting about you that most people wouldn't know?
Most people. I will say most people in the cubing community, at least, wouldn't know that I was an avid golfer in high school, throughout college even. And I actually won the state championship in West Virginia. I was medalist in 2005. And yeah, so state championship golfer. Not something I talk about that often, but
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is that something you thought about pursuing as a career?
Not necessarily a career. It was more of a hobby and like a means to an end as far as going to college.
Okay.
So I pursued it for a little bit in college. I actually went on a not necessarily a scholarship, but I was accepted to the school because of golf. And then once I started studying physics, I realized that my homework load was going to be a little bit insane, and I couldn't really juggle sports and academics, so I chose academics.
Mm-hmm. So now you're working at the Cubicle. What is your favorite part about working there?
Oh, goodness. I think it's amazing that I get to do something that I'm legitimately passionate about every day of the week. So, when I picked up cubing, it wasn't something that I expected to turn into a job. It was just something I enjoyed. And now I go into work every week and there's a new puzzle or a new record to talk about or it's always the topic of conversation is cubing, and I think it's extremely lucky, to be honest. I'm very happy with it.
So what exactly do you do at the Cubicle? But first I want you to answer, how did you start working there?
Well, it's kind of a strange story. Like I said, I went to school for physics, so this is completely unrelated, right? After college, I kind of moved around, skipped from job to job, and then in 2014, I started my YouTube channel, Cubeologist, which you mentioned in the intro.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a job with it's a defunct company now, Cubes for Speed. I don't know if you remember them or not, but they were a cube store out of Washington State. And when they went out of business, I started working. Well, I had previously worked with Phil and James. They had sponsored some stuff on my channel. But then once I realized it could actually be a job with Cubes for Speed, after they shut down the store, I contacted Phil. And, I said, hey, would you like to continue working together? Are there any positions? Just basically a cold call.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, one rule, you got to move up here. So they moved me up here, and now I'm in New York, moved from West Virginia. So that is how that happened. And it's not something that happens very often, I don't think. Start from a YouTube channel.
On a day-to-day basis, what is your main goal in the Cubicle?
Like my main tasks?
Yeah.
So initially, when I first got the job, it was as a graphics designer, which I have no formal training in. It's all just, I find something I want to do, and I watch tutorials and read tutorials on it until I can get it done. So that was my main initial position, was just graphics design. But over the course of the last 2 years, it's kind of changed. Now I do a lot of the website management. So as far as getting new products up, setting the price, setting the weight, the dimensions, everything that goes into launching a new product, I take care of all of that now. And also, I still do some graphics design. We've started to outsource some of that, but I still do probably the majority of it. So it's definitely turned into more of a jack of all trades type job, but it's still fun. Still really enjoy it.
Okay. Did you have a part in designing the Cube with Us t-shirts?
Yeah, that was actually a joint design from Phil and me. I would say something, then he would throw it back, then I would show him, what I came up with, then he would say, make this tweak or do that, and yeah, I would say it was at least 50 or 60% me, but I can't take full credit. He definitely had some input.
Okay. So when a new cube is released to the market, are you the one that first gets the cube and takes the pictures of it and does all that kind of work to get it up on the website?
Oh, yes. So the way it works is when we get a shipment from one of the cube stores, it's normally DHL because it's like a sample, so it doesn't come in the bulk shipment. Mm-hmm. But they'll bring it over to the office, and everybody kind of groups up to see what it is. Because, in reality, we're all just cubing nerds. We all want to see the newest stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody groups up, we open the package, and then everybody forms their opinion. And then from there, I take a picture. Then there's some post-processing on the pictures. Takes 10 or 15 minutes, then get it up on the site. But yeah, all the pictures and all that stuff's always me.
That's really cool that you get to try everything first.
Yeah, it's really lucky.
You can try every single cube there really is. And does that, when you're switching mains or stuff, do you think, does that switch often, or what's it like trying every cube first and always having the newest stuff?
Well, I've had to change the way I approach that lately because I started to realize a few months ago that I have a preference for whatever's new, which isn't good, right? Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What is it like getting all the newest stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a little bit overwhelming, honestly, because cubing hardware hasn't really, I don't think it's really improved objectively since the Vulk. So it's all about different feels now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said, it's a little bit overwhelming just getting all these new puzzles in. And for the longest time, I didn't say I had a main. It was whatever cube I was making a video on at the time, because that's the one I was solving. But ever since the 356X came out, I've had to stick with that one. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love trying new cubes.
Okay. Yeah, what cubes do you personally think that have reached the place where it's really personal preference? I know 3x3 is there. 2x2 maybe?
I think 3x3 is the only one that's there yet so far. There's still definite improvements to be made on 2x2, even though I'm horrible at 3x3 according to everybody at the office, but I'm definitely not good at any of the other cubes. So I would say there's still a lot of improvement in everything but 3x3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What would make the other events be at the place where 3x3 is right now? Is it just the variety of the good puzzles? Like, I guess Pyramix, the only, like, I guess some people really like the Moyu Magnetic, but the X-Man Bell is like the top Pyramix out there. Like, and then there's all the budget ones like the Chi-Ming and the Yushin Little Magic and all those. Why isn't Pyramix at that place right now?
I don't think, well, technically 3x3 is probably not at that place. You know, I'm sure there are still some improvements, like the magnet capsule thing. I didn't see that coming. So there are definitely still improvements to be made. But for Pyraminx to catch up with 3x3, I would say just more variety. Because right now, like you said, there are only basically two options if you're a world-class Pyraminx solver. It's the Moyu Magnetic and the X-Man Bell. Now, I know these people that are really fast could get good times on something like the Z-Cube Magnetic Pyraminx or, you know, the budget Chi Pyraminxes, but if you're taking yourself seriously, there are really two options. So with 3x3, I think there's at least 5 or 6, right? It wouldn't be shocking to me to see anybody get a 4 on 5 or 6, maybe even 10 different 3x3s. And that's definitely not something you can say in Pyraminx or 4x4 or 2x2, maybe 2x2, just because that's mostly scramble based, I feel like. But yeah, especially with 4x4. You could say that the new Aosu GTS2 is a contender, but I think the Qi is, the Wuchui is just still heads above it.
So, final question specifically about you working at the cubicle. How do you see your position or work there changing in the next few years, possibly?
Well, like I said, it's already changed over the course of the last 2 years from just graphics design to more website management. And I think over the course of the next few years, at least I hope, that there will be more of that. So more responsibility as far as e-commerce management goes and just having more of a say in the direction of the company.
Okay. When you say e-commerce, what does that exactly mean?
Just the platform, just e-commerce, like selling stuff online.
So now you run both the Cubeologist or your Cubeologist YouTube channel, and you work a lot with the Cubicle's YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Is it hard running both channels and like coming up with ideas of what to put on each one and making sure they're not like producing the same content? What's that like?
It's kind of funny. It actually has came up a few times wherever Phil and Chris Olsen will be talking about a script for the next video. You know, let's say it's the what was the last one we did? I don't remember. Anyway, some review. And I'll say, I can't help you with that because I'm working on it and I don't want to use part of that script subconsciously in my video.
Mm-hmm.
So, there definitely is some juggling going on. Whereas, he'll say, "Oh, should we do this for the Cubicle channel?" And I'll say, I'm already working on that, but we can do it in a week, or
Uh-huh.
vice versa. Of course, when push came to shove, the Cubicle channel would take priority. But if I've already got something in the works, typically we can work out a timing schedule.
Yeah. So how did you? So you started cubing around 2014. How did you grow your channel to over 28,000 subscribers in that short a time? Can you explain how you started your channel and what were the goals for it?
Well, when I started, I really didn't have a goal. I started doing a solve contest for a channel called Adventures in Cubing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the channel or not,
No, I'm not.
but it was looking back, it was a big channel at the time. It had like 1,500 subscribers. This was 2013, 2014, and he did a video entry contest where you just had to send him your solution to this scramble and you're entered into the competition. Well, after I did that, I looked around at my desk and I was like, "Hey, I've got all the stuff here to make a video now." So I just started the YouTube channel. It's strange. My channel was very close to being called Cubiquitous, which is my
Mm-hmm.
email. So I started the Cubeologist channel and I set a goal of making a video a day. So I did like a full OLL series before I even knew OLL. Um, and then to grow my channel, I just focused on getting puzzles, if not first, like really close to first.
Hmm.
So I like ordered stuff from Taobao, ordered stuff from people who had it early. I would always place my orders early at the cubicle or wherever and rush process, all that stuff. And I was fairly close in West Virginia, so it got to me pretty quickly. And as soon as it came, I would get the video up. And then, shameless self promotion on like the speed solving forums. I feel like just practicing, making a lot of videos makes you better over the course of time. And I look back at my old videos and it's like, man, why was I whispering her? Why wasn't I talking in the microphone, or why did I sound so unsure? So definite improvement over the years, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. But I would say if you're trying to grow a channel, just keep making videos. Don't focus on the subscriber number or the views. Just make a video every day. So something that I used to go by, which sadly I don't anymore, is okay, yeah, the best thing you can do is upload a video any given day. The second best thing you can do is upload a bad video. But the worst thing you can do is not upload a video. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to grow your channel, and definitely a bad video isn't ideal, but it's better than nothing. So if you just stick at it, I think growth will come for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a period in the past 4 years that you saw a bunch of traction or got a bunch of new subscribers? Like,
Hmm. It's been pretty consistent. I haven't really spiked at any point. I took a break a couple years ago. I was in an accident, so it was a couple months where I was like in the hospital and I was home. It was right after I moved to New York, so I was actually back home in West Virginia. I didn't have any of my setup, didn't have my camera, anything. It was all up here. So after that, when I came back and started working up here again, I didn't upload for, I think it was at least 2 or 3 months. And when I went to Worlds, I did the video on the Rubik's GAN speed cube,
mm-hmm.
and that took off like crazy. So I hadn't gotten a view in a long time, and that video did like 30 or 40,000 views. And that was I don't know, it was amazing
Oh
to
wow.
get I guess like re-accepted. I don't know. It's not like I wasn't accepted in the Cuban community, but it to to get the feeling that people still knew about me. It was refreshing for sure.
No good. Speaking of popular videos, some of your most popular, like your most popular one right now, is your how long how to set up and lube. That currently has like 182,000 views, I think. Is that
Sounds about right.
Is that something you expected on that video, or did that totally blow you away? Some other videos might be your 17 by 17 solve, or your GTS 3 video that was just a few months ago and it already has tens of thousands of views. Are those videos you expected to get a lot of views on, or did they just get popular?
Well, I think there are essentially two different types of videos as far as views go. They're like the investment, like long-term videos, like tutorials or guides, stuff like that, that don't do well at first, but they do consistently well over a long amount of time. And then there are videos like new cube releases, which they have to do well in the first week or they're not going to. So I didn't really expect the Along setup video to do well. And the fact that it's still doing well blows my mind because, it's not even, the cube isn't even produced anymore. But I guess it holds up generally. So yeah, I would say it's surprising that it's doing so well. And actually, it was a Crazy Bad Cuber ripoff anyway. He did the how to lube and tension a Diane Zanchi. And then the Along came out, and I was like, hey, I can show people how to do this and name it the same thing. So, which, I'm sure people have taken plenty of ideas from me. So it's not something that I'm necessarily ashamed of, but that's definitely where I got the idea.
Are there any videos that you have that you expected or hoped that would take off that just didn't do well at all?
Let me take a look.
Okay.
That's interesting. Not exactly. I think the one that I was most excited about was the 17 by 17 solve. Mm-hmm. Because the previous one before that was Red KB. And he got like 2 or 3 million views. So, I'm happy with 1 or 200,000. I'm not sure what it's got, but yeah, there hasn't really been anything. Okay, so there is one. I redid my OLL series. It was probably a year or two ago, and I made it fully interactive. So you go to the video, you click a subcategory, you click the actual case that you have, and it takes you to a video of me showing it, describing the moves, everything. That took so long because you have to make all of the videos, and then after that, you have to go in and hot link them with the notification system in YouTube. And that took such a crazy amount of time. And then when I uploaded it, it didn't do that well. So that was frustrating, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your absolute favorite video to create? And I'm talking about recording it, maybe planning it, all that kind of stuff, not it's everything you did before you hit publish.
I had a lot of fun with the Maru XD cube. I don't know if you remember that or not. It was a couple years ago. But I made it as like an open letter to Maru, the company. And it was basically just bashing this cube like over and over again. I think I said something like, just stick to that white liquidy lube you make and don't try to make cubes. I don't know. It was fun just because it was like kind of being a jerk, but it was a good time for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then of course, blowing up the thunderclap. That was a blast. You can tell in the video that I'm just laughing like a hyena. That was New Year's 2016.
So what do you think is the most important thing about creating videos? Is it the video quality, audio quality, content?
I would say those three things in order would be audio quality, content, and then video quality. Because if I'm interested in the content, I'll click a video. But if the audio's bad, I'll go away. Like if it's grainy or peaking or, it's just, I think audio makes a video. I can watch something in 360p that sounds good if I'm interested in the topic. But if it's in 4K and it's muffled or just a lot of background noise, it's hard to watch. But maybe that's just a personal thing.
Mm.
But for me, I would say audio quality is number one.
I would like some of your tips on how to create good videos. For titles, what do you think should go in titles, and how do you make it so people want to watch it, click on it, or find it?
So I've went through a lot of different things on my channel as far as titles go. I used to do like the road to sub 20, stuff like that. I'm not sure. I don't think the title is extremely important. As long as you get across the subject and what the video's about, I think you're good. As far as, what was the other question? Thumbnails?
Yeah.
I think the thumbnail needs to be bright. I think that's a big problem that I see on a lot of newer YouTube channels, is they'll make the thumbnail that looks good full screen on your computer with like dark text and a black background and the cube not that well lit. I just feel like something needs to pop out and stand out against the wall of thumbnails that they're looking at in their subscriber feed. So bright colors, white, neon colors, stuff like that, I think it helps. Now, I'm actually jealous of the YouTube channels that have a theme for all of their thumbnails. I cannot bring myself to do that. So it might be RedKP. I know CBC did it for a little while. It was every thumbnail, even though it had something different relative to the video, had something on the left side or the bottom, something that made it cohesive with the rest of their videos. I really like that, and I might do that in the future. But for now, I would just say, just make it bright. Don't make your text anything dark. And, just try to stand out.
Moving away from YouTube a little bit, I want to know your first encounter with the Rubik's Cube. What was your first encounter, maybe as a kid, and then your first encounter that led you to actually solving it?
Well, I'm sure that I encountered the cube as a kid. I just don't really remember it. The next time I actually encountered one was, I guess I was like 26, 27. So 2014, 2013, I was just in a Walmart somewhere and saw one. And so I picked it up and I thought, this could be fun. I consider myself to be decently smart. I could probably figure this out. So I went home and I couldn't figure it out. And I just went onto YouTube and typed in, how do I solve the Rubik's Cube? And then tumbled down the rabbit hole from there.
Which video did you learn from?
It was a weird, let me look. It was by a channel called Vince Roca.
What method was it?
It was layer by layer for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it was it's by Vince Roca. And it was it's an interesting tutorial to go back and look at now, because I actually switched to CFOP. I was still solving in 2 minutes. It was actually way too early. But I switched really quickly. So I don't really remember that much about the tutorial, but But yeah, he's the one that got me there.
Where were you at in the community then? Where were you on your journey starting your YouTube channel and working at the cubicle and like that?
Oh, this was way before that. So this was at least 2 or 3 years before anything with the cubicle, or actually, I guess it was a year before I started my YouTube channel. But yeah, once you look up how to get faster, there's the whole list of, why you're not sub 20 videos and F2L tricks and all that stuff that I just binged watched. And to get faster, basically at that point, all you have to do is solve, right? So I just did that for 3 or 4 hours a day. I would solve, and I think the motivation at that time is getting a new personal best. So you get your PB so often whenever you're around a minute that it feels like anytime you sit down, oh, this might be the 48-second solve, or this might be the 35, and it just forces you to keep practicing. And I think that's what led me to get ever so slightly faster.
Now, you've been to over 10 comps this year. I think it's now 13 or 14 competitions. What is it like being an older cuber at those types of events?
It's a bit weird. I'm not going to lie, especially, typically I've got friends there. So either somebody from the cubicle or somebody that isn't from the cubicle who's just a good guy or whatever. So typically I have people there that I can sit down with and talk to, and it's not just me and a bunch of kids, which is kind of weird, right? So that's the only part that I think is a bit strange, is just the age difference, because I want to get fast too, even though I'm an older guy. So, but sitting down at a table with just a bunch of like 10 to 12-year-olds it's a bit strange, but it's not too weird. Everybody at cubing competitions is really nice, including the parents, which I typically end up talking to. That's a good strategy for all of you old cubers out there. Don't sit down with the kids. Talk to the parents. It's a much more satisfying conversation.
Do you think being an adult helped you grow your YouTube channel, because it's not just coming from a kid that you might not think knows a lot, and adults tend to look up to adults more?
Potentially. It's definitely possible. It's something I haven't really thought about. But yeah, you get more like implied respect as an adult, deserved or not. But no, I don't really think that has a big deal to do with it, because there are much younger people than me that have much larger channels. So I still think it's just back to quality, and quality of content, quality of execution. Yeah, there are much more important things than age.
Going back to solving at competitions, how often do you meet other cubers that are around your age or older?
Pretty regularly, actually. At competitions, it's always a parent or two that are competing, and I think at Worlds, was an 80-some-year-old lady competing. I don't know. It's interesting, because it definitely is a young person's sport as far as being the fastest. But I think there's something to be said for the older people that get into it late. It's definitely a mental exercise, and I think it's useful, for sure.
Why do you think cubing tends to resonate with younger kids? And it seems to be getting younger and younger every year.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not completely sure. Maybe, at the super young age of the young side of the spectrum, I think that it's just, it's a bright tactile thing that they can play with. So like 4 to 7, they see you holding a Rubik's Cube, they're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. How do you do that? Can I see that? Like, can I touch that? It's interesting to them. But whenever, like 10 to 15, I'm not entirely sure what would motivate you to cube. Maybe for the boys, they're not necessarily interested in girls yet, so they just have a lot of free time to mess around with the Rubik's Cube, and they can get fast at that age. I don't know what it is, but you're like a sponge. They just soak up all this information, and they've got all this ability with their hands. It's so fast, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question.
What's your feedback on the recent 2x2 world record, which broke the 130 barrier by a lot, or
What was it, like
1.30. I think it was,
121 or
yeah,
something?
it was 121.
Yeah, I saw that. That's, 2x2 is something that I need to be careful here. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't think it's extremely interesting just due to the RNG. So you've got basically, once you get to a certain level at 2x2, you can execute all the EG algs and TCLL and whatever other alg sets you know. It's basically just the scrambles you get at that point. So I think it's impressive for sure. It's definitely not something I can do, but it's definitely scramble based.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it will be sub 1 eventually, but yeah, I think it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we saw earlier this year, we saw Will Callen with that counting .92, I think it was.
Yeah.
So it definitely looks like it could be getting down there pretty quick. I think a lot of it, though, is not getting nervous on the final few solves, along with easy or semi-easy scrambles.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure I'm downplaying 2x2 solvers because one lockup means the world in 2x2, right? So I don't want to say it's all scramble based. There's definitely a ton of skill involved. But yeah, I think sub 1 will happen probably in 2019.
Moving back to the cubicle a little bit, can you explain what recently happened and what you guys are doing for the Cubicle YouTube channel?
I'm not sure what you mean by recently
The
happened. The 100,000?
Yes, yep, the
Yeah,
crossing.
that was really cool. So I remember when Phil started the channel, it was smaller than my channel at the time. But you had to know at that point if they take it seriously, it's just going to grow like crazy fast because they've got access to all the puzzles and they've got knowledgeable people to work on their videos. So I think it's amazing that they've got to where they are at this point, and I'm really excited to get the silver play button. I think that'll be really cool. I've never actually seen one,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think it's really cool, and I'm super thankful to the community, everyone that supports us. It's been really amazing.
So, what are you guys doing in celebration of 100,000?
Oh, okay, so we're doing the giveaway right now on our YouTube channel. We are giving away like $700 in gift cards. We've got 10 $50 gift cards and $200 gift cards over the course of the next couple weeks. So yeah, just check out thecubicle.us YouTube, and it's our most recent video.
Did you have any part in the Why We Cube documentary?
I had small parts. So as far as like the creative side and stuff like that, I watched drafts and gave input, but as far as actually taking shots or anything, I think the only shot I took that he used was in the end, wherever Phil is playing tennis, like in the outro.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was something he played really close to the chest, and I don't know. I'm super proud of Chris for that. I thought that was amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope to see it in some film festivals sometime soon.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's something he's looking into, and possibly has already succeeded in doing. I'm just not sure, and I don't want to spoil it if it is true.
Okay. So, final question. What is something you've changed your mind about recently?
That is a good question. It's something I've changed my mind about over the course of like the last 10 to 15 years. And it actually influences where I am right now in my life. So, whenever I was younger, 15, 20 years old, I was kind of obsessed with the impression that I gave out. and what other people thought of that impression. So over the course of the last, like I said, 10 to 15 years, I've started to realize that you just need to do what you're passionate about. And as long as you're taking care of yourself and the people around you, you don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks. So if you have that mindset, you can end up being a 32-year-old man working at a kid's cube store. But I definitely have no regrets. I'm super happy to be where I am. And but yeah, just everybody's winging it. Whenever you're young, you think, oh, they're adults. They've got it figured out. You think there's this magic transition from kid to adult, which isn't there. Everybody you see as adults, they're basically the same as they were when they were your age. They're just, they have to put on an act and make everybody know that, or think that they're in control. And I think the only truly happy people are the ones that don't really care what other people think and just follow their dreams. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, another awesome answer. Damian, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on this episode of the CornerCutter podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun. I hope I didn't embarrass myself too much with my answers, but it's been a good time.
That was an awesome interview with Damian, and I had a lot of fun talking with him. If you have any feedback on anything he mentioned in the episode or any feedback on the show, please email it in. My email address is feedback@thecubicle-us.com. I would also love to hear if you have any questions for me or for future guests, if I let you know ahead of time, or if you have any suggestions for the show. So please reach out. My email is feedback@thecubicle-us.com. I know I said last week that this week's episode was going to be a YouTuber show, but we did this interview first, and I was having some trouble scheduling the YouTuber show, so that will be coming up next week. It is recorded. I want to thank Damian once again for coming on the CornerCutter podcast. And now it's time to take this episode back to the scrambling table, and I'll talk to you guys again next week in episode 58 of the CornerCutter podcast. I do have a debate show planned, and we are working on getting that recorded, so that'll be coming up in the next few episodes. I know you guys enjoy that kind of show.